Have you ever used an AI and had that weird feeling where one second it's a total genius and the next it's just completely clueless? You know, it can write flawless, production-ready code, but then it fails at a super simple logic puzzle. Well, that's not a glitch. That's actually the fundamental nature of how AI works. And understanding this, really getting it, changes everything. So let's get right to the heart of it, this bizarre inconsistency that trips up pretty much everyone, even people who use AI all day long. It's this paradox that's at the core of modern AI, and it's the source of so much of our frustration. I mean, just think about that for a second. Let it sink in. The very same model, in the same conversation, can pull off a highly complex task, like drafting a legal document, but then it just faceplants when you ask it to do something a first grader could do, like count the words it just wrote. It's wild, right? And that right there is the big question we're going to unpack in this explainer. How is that even possible? It's a question that totally exposes the biggest and most misleading assumption that we all make about artificial intelligence. The reason we get so blindsided by these weird failures is because almost all of us, whether we're AI optimists or skeptics, are using the completely wrong mental model to think about it. We all instinctively picture intelligence on this single straight line, like a ruler. We imagine AI starting way down here at dumb and just steadily, smoothly climbing its way up to smart with every new update, hoping it'll eventually get to human level and beyond. And this is the problem. This picture is nice and clean, it's simple, and it is completely fundamentally wrong. And it matters. It matters a lot. Because when we base our expectations on this flawed idea, we're just setting ourselves up for constant surprise and frustration. So, okay, if that straight line is wrong, then what's right? We need a better picture, a more accurate map. So let's meet a much better model, the Jagged Frontier. I want you to completely forget that simple arrow. Just toss it out. Instead, picture a city skyline at dusk. That is the reality of AI capability. It's not some smooth, gentle slope going upwards. No way. It's a jagged, spiky landscape of towering skyscrapers right next to deep, dark, empty lots. And this is the absolute key takeaway. AI capability is a profile, not a single number. It has these incredible peaks of superhuman skill, things like generating creative text or summarizing a dense report. And then literally right next door, you've got these deep, deep valleys of shockingly simple failures, like counting accurately or remembering something from the start of a long conversation. So why? Why is this frontier so jagged and weird? Well, it's not random. There are actually three main forces that are constantly shaping this skyline. What the AI was trained on, the very structure of the task you give it, and this nasty little thing called error compounding. Let's break that down real quick. First, training distribution. It's simple. If an AI has seen a million examples of something in its data, like a typical business email, it's going to be fantastic at it. Second, task structure. AIs are great at fuzzy tasks, where being plausible is good enough. But they're terrible at sharp tasks that have one and only one right answer. And finally, error compounding. This one's a killer. A model might be 95% successful at a single step, which sounds great. But if a task has 10 of those steps, the chance of getting all 10 right plummets to just 60%. Okay, so we've got this jagged skyline of AI skills. That's the theory. But what do we actually do with that? How do we navigate this crazy landscape? Well, let's turn this idea into a super practical framework that you can start using today. We can sort any task into one of three buckets. First, you've got the peaks. These are things that AI is truly superhuman at. Here, your strategy is simple. Delegate the task to the AI, and then just give it a quick review. Next are the workable tasks. The AI is useful here, but it needs help. It needs some scaffolding to support it. For these, you build systems around it. Think of it like a junior assistant. Great for a first draft, but you need to provide the outline and check the facts. And finally, you have the valleys. These are the places where it will reliably fail. Here, the strategy is dead simple. Either give it a tool it can use, like a calculator, or just avoid using it for that task completely. This is it. This is the new habit you have to form. Before you hand off any task to an AI, just pause for a second and ask yourself this one question. Seriously, just thinking in these terms, peak, workable, or valley, will radically improve your results and cut your frustration down to almost zero. All right, now for the most powerful part of all of this. You don't have to just guess where these peaks and valleys are.
You can actually map them out for the specific real-world work that you do every single day. But, and this is a huge but, you can't rely on those public benchmarks you see online to do this. Why not? Because those benchmarks take that entire complex, beautiful skyline and they just squash it down into one single, totally misleading number. A model can get a really high score by acing the peaks, even if it's completely failing in the valleys.
Here's the thing. Benchmarks answer a question that you're probably not even asking. They tell you, how did this AI do on average across 1,000 random tasks? What you really need to know is, how is it going to do on my tasks for my job? And those are two completely different questions. The solution is actually way simpler than you'd think. Build your own personal benchmark. Just pick 5 or 6 tasks you actually do. Define what success looks like for each one. Then whenever a new model comes out, you run your little test suite against it and you just log the results. Do this and you will create a personal capability map that is 1,000 times more valuable to you than any public leaderboard.
Once you start thinking this way, it changes everything. Your strategy shifts to designing workflows where AI handles the peaks and you build scaffolding to cover for the valleys. Your buying decisions change from which model is the best overall to the much smarter question, which model is best for this specific task? And your ability to communicate about AI becomes so much clearer. When someone asks, is AI good at X? You can say, well, for that, it's a peak, a workable task, or a valley.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Stop asking if AI is smart. It's the wrong question. Instead, start mapping its jagged frontier. Take a minute and really think about it. What are the peaks and what are the valleys in your work? Because knowing the answer to that, that's the real key to unlocking the true power of AI.